The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining me today. And just as a reminder, before we actually get started into our session, there are a couple of little details I want to remind you about as far as our GOTO webinar. First thing being, if you have any questions during our session, I will also pause a few times, but feel free to raise your hand using on your control panel the little hand button, along with your audio. If you're having any trouble with your mic and speakers, feel free to use the telephone number that's provided in the GOTO webinar invite. And while I pause for questions a little bit later on, here is our chat box. Feel free to chat in your questions during those times. I'll be monitoring this as we go along, so don't be shy to add anything in there, but I do try to group the questions according to what we're going through today. And then finally, you should have two downloadable PDFs. I know this does say 2015, but you will see the 2019 version. So I encourage you to download those documents and file them. If you ever have any questions about the webinar, you can go back and take a look anytime. And as a reminder, you are in listen-only mode due to we just want to provide or block any kind of feedback or any kind of background noise that might be going on. And our session today will be 45 to 60 minutes, depending on how many questions we have. And this really is more, as you know, a back-to-school training webinar. It's not any for example, foundational training, but at the very end of our session, I will give you the email address to the client support team, and we can actually get a foundational type of training set up for you. Okay, so again, welcome to our webinar this afternoon. This is Back to School 2019. My name is Robin Briones, and I'm part of the client services team here at Tutor. I support a couple hundred libraries across the country. I have a great team I work with, and I'm happy to be here with you today. So this is our agenda. First, we'll go through what is new. We will review what is new within Tutor.com. And if you attended our back to school last year, you'll see that only a couple of those new items will be reviewed again, but we have lots of exciting new things that are now available in Tutor.com. And then we will go through the who, what, why, and how. And we've split these up between the elementary school student, middle school students, and high school. But in addition, within elementary, we've got the lower elementary K-3 demographic that you work with, along with the 4, 5, and sometimes 6. And then I will get into your support tools, including the Client Resource Center, which I will also go live toward the end of our session to remind you what is in there, along with the client portal and your client care team, who we actually are. All right. So what is new for Tutor.com? We actually have a brand new classroom becoming available most likely September. And what you will probably notice is that It's not that much different from the current classroom, but it's greatly enhanced. So you still have the tools available on the left side here. Please know that this is actually a profile photo of your tutor. There is no live video going on. Sometimes that question is asked, so please know that it is just a profile photo. So the first thing that's new within the classroom is some new tools, some workspace tools. So these include a pen and an eraser, the text box, and being able to select text. So these tools, most of them are already in the classroom, but they're more easily accessible and we have more of them. In addition, we've got various shapes, squares, circles, lines, along with arrows. We have various directional we can choose from there, along with the different color pens one of them might be your favorite. We also have a color palette, so you can actually have quite an assortment of choices there to choose when you're actually in the classroom. And please know that both you or your patron and your tutor have access to all of these tools. And we also have line thickness, more choices there. And as usual, your patron/student has the ability to import any graphics that they would like, formulas, shapes, and symbols. And we still have, of course, the cut, copy, paste, undo, and redo. And as far as graph paper, we now have a choice between the small and the large graphing paper, especially for your patrons/students who are looking for help with the upper levels of math, algebra, and up. Comes in very handy, as well as a lined whiteboard. So that area is greatly enhanced. We also have an actions menu, as you can see on top here, and you've got various choices to raise a hand, be more emotional with your tutor. You can see this was, it looks like a pre-algebra problem with PEMDAS, but your tutor actually celebrated your patron/student with, you can see the great job down here. So this is something very new in our classroom, and we're really excited about it. Can't wait till it's live. And using the new classroom, here is a sample algebra problem. So you can see really our chat box is pretty much the same. Your tutor, you can see how your patron and your tutor are both writing on the graph paper. You've got your X and Y axis here along with your coordinates. And as you can see here, the tutor asked your student to add the ordered pairs. So one thing that's really nice, and hopefully all of you have been able to go into Tutor sometime in the past. It's very interactive. You'll find that our tutors are very questioning. They ask a lot of questions to your students and patrons. Rather than just simply giving them the answer, they're very well engaging, and they do a great job with understanding at what level your student is and to move forward from there and ensure that they have a complete understanding of whatever problem they're asking about. In addition, as far as what's new, we have added Grad Test Prep. So this is all delivered through our partner, Princeton Review, and you can find it under the Other Tools area here by clicking and going to Prep for Grad School Tests. And those tests include GRE, GMAT, LSAT, and MCAT. And we do offer, these are completely full-length practice exams. We have 2 each of the GRE and GMAT, 1 each of the LSAT and MCAT. What's nice is once your student/patron completes a full-length practice exam, they'll be able to go back and find out what their 3 areas of strength are and 3 areas of focus. And then they'll be able to go back, look for content that will help them gain additional strength in those areas in need of focus. The other advantage about these grad tests is that your patron can go and choose the proctoring. So if they want it real time, they can choose that. They can choose it to be untimed. They can give themselves 1.5 times as long or twice as long. So lots of choices there for your patrons. And I know that oftentimes when I work with libraries across the country, GRE seems to be a high need area. This would be a great place to direct your patrons rather than the possibility of test books not being returned to you. All of this content is here. And yes, it is delivered through our partner, Princeton Review. What else is new? Well, our math drop-off, which you're probably quite familiar, is now 24/7. So it's very similar to the paper drop-off. Your patron can choose from those areas of algebra and higher that they need help with. If you're not familiar with it, we do offer math drop-off for Algebra 1 and 2, geometry, trig, pre-calculus, and calculus. And yes, this is one question at a time. What will happen is your patron will choose the area of math that they're looking for. They'll enter their grade level. They can type the question in here or simply ask, please help me solve this. And you can attach a screenshot of the question, which is quite popular, so that your tutor knows exactly what you're looking for. Or you can hand draw your problem right in here. And what will happen within 24 hours, oftentimes it is a much shorter time, your patron will receive an email that their math question is ready. They'll access their account, go into their locker, and find that question with multiple steps that's been completed by the tutor, and they should be good to go from there. But please remember, this is now 24/7. Under practice quizzes, we now offer ASVAB quizzing. I know a lot of libraries across the country are very busy with ASVAB, Armed Services Battery Tests, those folks looking to get help. We now have it all here within Take a Practice Quiz. So when your patron clicks on this, the first choice that they have will be ASVAB. And once this is clicked, they'll be able to select the area that they would like to quiz with and complete a quiz and find out in what areas they need extra help. And in addition, which is also the same with any of our other quizzes, with most of these topics within ASVAB, your patron can actually connect with the tutor right away rather than having to go back to the Connect with the Tutor Now request. They can actually go straight from here, most of these topics. And last year, as far as what's new, we did introduce what used to be called the Early Edge videos, and they are also found under other tools. And these are wonderful instructional videos for really upper elementary through adult. They are about 15 minutes or less, very engaging. They have been designed by educators, and the videos include arithmetic, algebra, geometry, statistics, and then as far as English, we offer reading, writing, and grammar. But now we pretty much call them foundational videos rather than early edge because they're really meant for any patron 4th grade on up. And what's new as far as our social media? In our Client Care Center, Client Resource Center, we now have categorized social media tools. I'll show you what that looks like live as a reminder toward the end. But what's nice is when you go to the Client Resource Center, you can click on any of these topics, for example, seasonal. Yes, fall is coming. We've got back to school season. These are all, it's just much easier to find now by clicking on any of these topics, and you'll immediately be taken to the area where those fall under. For example, the adults or any time, any of those you can find much more easily. And please remember that we're always refreshing these social media posts. So it's a great way to keep current and keep your patrons engaged with what's going on in your library. All right, I'm going to pause here for just a minute, and please feel free to enter any questions that you may have in the chat box. If you click on chat on your control panel, click that down arrow, feel free to ask any question that you would like. I'll wait just about a minute. Anything that you're not sure about? Okay, well, hopefully we'll get some questions as we move along here. So let's get into these different demographics that you work with as far as your patrons. The first being the lower elementary grades, pretty much, yes, K to 3. Well, who are these people? They are mostly the parents or the caregivers of your younger patrons and students. Well, why? Why are they having or wanting to or needing to go into Tutor.com? New math, as we call it, is oftentimes a big reason. We know that with Common Core, that is sometimes a little bit more difficult to convey to students. A lot of parents get stuck on the methodology on how to actually solve a math problem according to Common Core. Oftentimes it's a certain method of getting to a solution for math. And yes, some of this math can be pretty complicated. So what? We definitely can help with basic skills, along with language support and yes, the primary math. And well, how? How do we help your parents and caregivers of your K to 3 kids? So yes, tutoring for parents. Oftentimes the parent will create an account to give them access, and I know a lot of times they use the audio chat feature rather than typing in the chat box. They can actually check off that option on the connect with the tutor page to use a voice chat. And when they choose voice chat, a pop-up box will come on to let them know that they can call in on a toll-free number that will be provided, along with, or they can use their computer audio. All right, so what tools do we have to make sure that we are addressing the questions from the parents of your younger kids? We have a lot of tools to help out, help your librarians, including this safe and secure assurance document. This is easily downloadable from the Client Resource Center. It's a great way to remind your families that, you know, about the background checking and that we're fully COPA compliant. The students who are 12 and under are completely anonymized, things like that. And to reinforce the audio chat, that's a great way to possibly engage the parent / caregiver and the student with the tutor. Have kind of a three-way conversation going on there. We also have social media posts that are targeted toward your elementary crowd. This is one of them. Yes, you can now add audio to your Tutor.com session. And we did add this last year to the Client Resource Center, but that might be a great way to remind your patrons that absolutely they can use voice while they're in a live tutoring session. We also have sample email templates and newsletters within the Client Resource Center. And I'll show you that too toward the end. But we make sure that you have enough tools to engage with your lower elementary students and their families. But what about outlets? How can we best reach the K-3 families? And a couple of ideas here. I'd love to see more. If you're willing to enter anything in the chat box, I would love to share that with our attendees today. PTA/PTO meetings, outreaching to teachers, school librarians, media technology folks, specialists, as well as using the Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, social media, and any kind of library programs. Maybe doing a field trip, if you haven't done that before, inviting classes of schools into your library to show them what you are all about. So this is something we call the actual character, kind of a character profile. And I won't read this to you, but really what it says is Patty parent wants to help her child. And she has gone to a parent-teacher conference. She's been told to use flashcards and math cubes, and she may not even know what math cubes are, or she may not even know how to use those. And of course, we have that Common Core again. So yes, Patty can be easily frustrated. She wants to make sure that her son, in this case, is not feeling her pain, in other words, but she wants someone to talk to so that she could easily go through any kind of math problem or anything like that to work with her student without her frustration getting through. So we encourage your caregivers and parents to connect with our tutors and really get that information, get an explanation as to how best to work with their student. And I would highly recommend that they tell the tutor that they are the parent so that the parent can learn as well. To go along with that, this document here is also accessible in the Client Resource Center. The top 10 things parents should know about Tutor.com. And I highly recommend that you download that and pass it out as necessary, because it's got a lot of great information there. All right, more elementary, part 2. This is the upper elementary crowd, typically your 4th, 5th, and sometimes 6th graders. Well, why? What's happening with this age group? And why is it important that we work with them and help them really build their love of learning? This is a time, as you probably know, that independence is coming along. They want to work more independently. They're more comfortable working online. There's a lot of changes that go on at this age, not quite as much as the middle grades, as you probably know. So, well, what can we do to help your 4th, 5th, and sometimes 6th grader getting homework done? We know that usually upper elementary, there's an increase in the homework load. So that could definitely help with connecting with the tutor, along with any kind of remediation, especially for math and language arts, ELA. Anything like that would be really helpful to encourage them to get in there and connect with a tutor, as well as on the other end of the spectrum with accelerated learning. How can we move ahead? How can we use our tutors to accelerate that student toward kind of outside of of their comfort zone and move them forward. And how do we do it? Well, I still recommend using the audio chat, encouraging them to do that. It's a great way to help your upper elementary student become comfortable with working with an online tutor, along with those foundational videos under the other tools that we saw earlier. The arithmetic, as it's called, it goes down to 4th grade with fractional concepts. On up, 5th, 6th grade, a lot of pre-algebra concepts are in there too, along with the English. Any kind of writing skills, grammar, topics like that are available as well. And we also still encourage the parent or caregiver creating an account, especially if they are 12 or under, they can oversee what's going on when you actually create an account. And some of you may not know this, but when you actually create a Tutor.com account, all of our live tutoring sessions are recorded so that your patron and student can go back in anytime and access any previously completed session. If they have any questions about a session, they can fast forward, rewind, access that at any time. It never drops off or goes away. All right, upper elementary. Well, what tools are available for you to work with your families? Inside the Client Resource Center, we do have wonderful flyers for classrooms. We've got posters, we've got bookmarks, all kinds of printables there that are customizable. So I encourage you to take a look around and use some of those tools to outreach. We also have the email announcements, some templates that would work well for you. We also have an animated video. I will show you that at the end. We have a kind of a shorter 40-second introductory type video. We also have one that's almost 4 minutes, same type of animation, but it's very well engaging. It's available to download and put on your library site, or we do have a YouTube link as well. So however you would like to use that video, it's really well engaging for really any kind of patron, any age that you're working with. We also suggest using age-appropriate social media posts, just like this one, the donut worry. It's kind of visual, but that's just an example of what's available to you. Well, what kind of outlet can we use? We definitely encourage you to go and do school visits. I know sometimes it's hard to find the time, but those are really helpful to go out there and let them know that libraries are just not about books, and that there is so much more available, in particular Tutor.com, with the live tutoring along with many other features that are available 24/7. Homeschool groups, very, very popular and growing, especially when you get into the higher levels of, let's say, math and science, whether it's physics, chemistry, biology. Algebra and higher is sometimes really difficult for parents and caregivers to work with their kids, along with higher levels of writing. Homeschool groups are a great way or a great place to reach out to. And again, the Facebook and Instagram. We know that Instagram is more photos. It's used more for the younger set than, let's say, Facebook. But if you post on Facebook, you can actually populate and post on your Instagram as well. They can speak to each other, which is really nice. Along with parenting publications, is there something local that you can publish in? Maybe take a look around and see if there's anything available. All right, here is another character study. Really quickly, this is Maria. She is, her primary language is Spanish. She's a little bit behind in her math, but we strongly encourage her, or we would want to encourage her to connect with our bilingual Spanish-speaking tutors. especially for math support. We do offer bilingual Spanish-speaking tutors for math, science, and social studies. We also have ESL tutors. This is another document that's available in the Client Resource Center that is in Spanish. I'll show you that as well, but we definitely want to make sure you know where all of those tools are. All right, before we go into maximizing the middle, I'd like to take an opportunity here to encourage you to ask any questions. Use that chat box if you would, and I will stand by here for just about a half a minute. Okay, Shirley, thank you for asking a question. Shirley wants to know, how often can our patrons ask math questions using the 24/7 math drop-off? That is a great question, and thank you for asking that. I'm sorry I was looking in the chat box and I didn't see your specific question. So your patrons can drop off. There is really no limit as to how many, but only 3 questions at a time are allowed in the queue. And so hopefully that addresses your concern, possibly, Shirley, about patrons who, to put it simply, want their homework done for them. So I do a lot of trainings, whether it's on-site or webinar, and that's a very popular question. So there is a reason why only one math question is allowed at a time, and only 3 in the queue. And hopefully that addressed your question. Okay. All right. Maximizing the middle. So yes, these are the 6th through 8th graders. We know that they are going through a lot of changes, both physically and otherwise. It's a time of perhaps having between 5 and 7 different teachers. The stress level is higher. They have to start time managing. Sometimes there's maybe a self-esteem issue because of all of these changes, and parents are not able to help quite as much, especially academically. And what can we do? We can definitely look at and helping them with their writing skills, their mid-level math, any kind of, we know that computer and technology comes into play. We do offer technology, live tutoring. We know that the science is more structured. So we know that this age group is a very unique group. And I mean, what can we do to help these middle schoolers? Well, of course, our live tutoring. That's really very popular with the middle schoolers, along with the drop-off reviews. So I know we looked at the math drop-off. We also have the writing, the essay drop-off. So those are both now 24/7. I would encourage you to encourage your patrons to use those services. They're wonderful, especially with the essay, and that they can upload even their first revision, their first draft, I should say. And when they, within 12 hours, they'll get a feedback form received. And please know that if the essay, any kind of essay, book report, short story, these are all academic papers. Our tutors never actually revise the content. They will provide a customized feedback form along with, they will comment on the margin of the document itself so that your patron and student can go back, make some revisions, and submit it again if they would like to. And the process is the same as the math. Once the tutor goes through the document and provides the feedback, your student will receive an email that their document is ready to take a look at. So it's a great system for the students who are looking for help in writing, and we know that that is a high need area. So we do have the drop-off reviews of those foundational videos. We also have the practice quizzes, especially for Algebra 1, definitely 7th and 8th oftentimes. The algebra, English, anything like that, the practice quizzes are a great place as well. All right. Deshawn, here is a question. Are there any additional steps for students seeking help for Spanish-speaking students? So we do have students seeking help. So we do have quite a few resources in the Client Resource Center that are in Spanish. Deshawn, I'm not sure if that answers your question, in addition to the live tutors who are available. When they actually request to connect with a tutor, on that Connect page, there is a drop-down where they can choose Spanish, and that way that we will ensure that they are connected with a bilingual tutor. And feel free to comment if I did not quite address your question. I want to make sure I am. All right. Middle schoolers, what tools are available to help engage and help reach out to your middle schoolers and their families? We do have a how to use guide, and this is also in the Client Resource Center. We have a trifold kind of a how to use guide. It's wonderful to print out, and you can see here, these are all customizable as well. We've got emoji bookmarks. Actually just about any age patron loves the emojis, but they seem to well engage the middle schoolers. Our social media posts, we have many that are empathic, such as the donut, but we've got also you've got this. There's also the ability to do in-library demos, and we know that with just about anything, we learn best by doing. This is a great way to get your middle schoolers in there and show them exactly how Tutor.com works, actually get them in there and have them navigate around, possibly with you, and make sure they know of all the tools within the program. And as far as an outlet, especially math and English teachers, but really science, social studies, we offer all of that. As with high school, there are, I know of some English teachers around the country that will ask their students to send in their initial draft to Tutor.com using the paper drop-off. Sometimes they will offer extra credit. There are ways to motivate your kids or their kids to get into Tutor and use that paper drop-off. Another outlet, again, is the school librarian, librarians, media technologists, anyone like that at the school, as well as Instagram and Snapchat. We know that the middle schoolers on up will be snapping every so often, as well as library tween programs. So lots of ways to get your middle schoolers engaged and get them into Tutor.com. Okay, here's another character study. To make this one short, and please know that within that downloadable PDF of our presentation today, all of this is here if you'd like to read through those character studies a little bit more thoroughly. But Greg is, yes, he's well prepared. He needs to be assured that he's got this. He's time managing okay. You might see him stressing in the library. So this might be an idea, is to show him that promotional video Encourage him to use the drop-off service. Watch video lessons. Make sure he knows everything that's available in Tutor.com, and to remind him that our tutors are very encouraging and motivating. All right, Holy High School. Yes, these are the 9th through 12th graders why they are balancing life. There is so much going on, whether it's academically, personal, sports. What are they going to do when they graduate? What kind of courses should they take? Are they going to college at all, or are they going to go into a vocational track or go straight into job searching? Just about everything in Tutor.com is applicable to your high schoolers. So this includes the core academics. We've got live tutoring for 14 different AP subjects. So we're very highly popular with AP. We've got the writing skills, whether it's live. So please remember that in addition to the paper drop-off, your students/patrons can go in and engage a live tutor for writing. And they actually share a document, and it kind of reminds me of a Google Doc where they could actually both be in there at the same time. So it's a great way to remind your patrons that it's all there, AP or not. We also have ACT and SAT Essentials, which is delivered through our partner Princeton Review. And actually, we do have a separate webinar that's being delivered at the end of August, and another one a little bit later in the fall that's strictly for SAT, ACT. So everything within the platform, your high schoolers can use it. Well, what tools are available? Here's that example of that trifold that might be a great way to print out and have it available for your students. You can see where this is customizable with your library URL or logo or both if you can fit it. Try going into the Client Resource Center to find some social media that's relevant. There's plenty of it. The trifold that you see here, we have specific test prep flyers. And again, the ACT, SAT Essentials. I know with ACT, many states across the country, it's very, very popular ACT. Some states like California is kind of split. We also have AP Prep. So within the other tools area, under the same, where the grad tests and SAT, ACT, all of that, we also have the AP Prep that's available for AP Calc, AP Bio, US History, and World History. Even now, we're getting into almost August. Some schools start next week. Some have already, and on into August and beyond to past Labor Day. A lot of AP teachers assign AP reading. And oftentimes our students will go into those prep videos to reinforce the reading because it is all separated and titled by topic within that subject. So AP is not just for the spring and getting ready for the exam. It's really for any time, whether it's a midterm, a final, a chapter test, or summer reading. What is our outlet? I suggest engaging your teachers by type. And I know with middle school, we talked about English and math, science, social studies, any of those teachers. That would be a great way to remind them that you are there and available with your Tutor.com program. Sports coaches, even band teachers, and getting back to sports. We know that students have to maintain a certain GPA to play a sport. And of course, this might be motivating for the coaches to make sure that their athletes, we'll call them student athletes because they are students first, that they are getting the help they need to be able to balance academics with whatever sport or sports they are playing or doing. We also suggest using teen-focused, having a separate Instagram account for strictly teens. That might be another idea. Along with in-library practice tests, especially for SAT, ACT. I know of libraries that will do what they call a boot camp, perhaps on a Saturday, or spread that over a number of evenings once a week. Something like that, to use the SAT, ACT content to go through full-length practice tests. They can even chunk that out by subject if they would like, whether it's math or reading. This is a great way to engage your students and families. Here is another character study. This is RENA RIGOR. And yes, she does have lots of AP courses in her schedule. We want to make sure that her AP teachers in her district are aware of Tutor.com, especially for the live tutoring within those 14 subjects, along with the videos for Calc, Bio, US, and World History. And yes, we know that GPA is really important to her. So we might want to make sure that the AP teachers are well aware, as we earlier chatted about a little bit. There are some posters and flyers within the Client Resource Center that talk about test prep. That might be a great thing to print out and have in your library to remind your patrons that this is available to them. All right, one other question from Shirley. You mentioned that only 3 questions were allowed in the queue drop-off service. Is that per student or patron or per library? It is per patron/student, Shirley. Great question. It's per account. And just let me know if that answers your question. Okay, you're welcome. And now we have Al, athlete. And as you can see, Al has a very busy schedule. Yes, he does it all, maybe in multiple sports. So he's a great example of being able to balance academics, sports. Maybe he's got an algebra worksheet that he needs to do, anything like that. He's got a lot on his plate. So we want to encourage him to use those drop-off reviews. So let's say he's got a question on a math worksheet. It's past the hour of your live tutoring availability. This would be a great way to drop off, use that math drop-off, access any of those video lessons, because all of that is 24/7 with the exception of live tutoring. So I know a lot of students just think of Tutor.com as live, but there is so much more out there and available to them in addition to the live. And speaking of, I know we chatted really quickly about coaches. Another way to reach out to your community is Pop Warner, Little League. All of those opportunities within your community might be a great way to remind those athletes that you are there and ready to help them. And then we have college, another character study. So yes, she needs to ace the ACT, and she may even take the SAT to possibly earn more scholarship or have more opportunities for merit scholarship money. And yes, test prep books can be expensive. So I would highly encourage a patron like college to go into the SAT, ACT Essentials and complete 1 or more practice exams. I would highly encourage you to go in and check out this area, because what's wonderful is once they complete any section of the SAT or ACT, they are given a wonderful score report. Just like the grad test prep, they will be given their 3 areas of strength and 3 areas of focus. They will be given then some clickable content to drill down into, all housed here in Tutor.com Princeton Review. They'll be able to receive additional instruction via video and drill. It's really nice because it's all there, all in one place. In addition to the practice tests, we also have a resource tab that has information about the Common Application, financial aid. There's even a timeline for freshmen and sophomore. There's one together. There's a timeline for juniors, one for seniors. That's a downloadable PDF. It's a great way to remind even your high school counselors. This might be something to send over to them so that they have the information that's available within Tutor. You can hang flyers in your test prep area, use bookmarks, anything like that is available to you. And beyond high school, don't forget your adults. Very important to make sure that your adults know that Tutor.com is just not for really K to high school. Within the adult area here, we encourage you to use social media. We've got within that Client Resource Center the Adult Center flyers. As we saw earlier, we've got the Grad test prep. We also have resume and cover letter help. Very popular with the adults to engage live with our tutors to just the same as any kind of live document. They can work together with a tutor for a resume or cover letter, or they can complete a couple of different sessions, do one of each, along with interviewing skills. So the interview skills, this is a great way to use the voice chat. You can actually connect with a tutor, use your voice, and go through any kind of questions you want to enhance yourself with, strengthen your skill set, anything like that. And your library reference desk is a great way, of course, to guide and direct those adults into Tutor, especially for job searching, interviewing, anything like that. Well, what can our outlet be? What can we do? Community centers. We also have, you might have job fairs, your local colleges, any kind of local event. Remind them that you are there to help your adult patron. As I work with the libraries across the country, many of them are very, they have lots of usage from the community college students, people like that. And now we have another character study, JAIME the job seeker. So JAIME is not going to go to college full time. She is going to look for a job, and we want to help her know how to apply online. She might be still in high school. How do we know, what to put on a resume for high school? What should it have on it? Let's help her find some opportunities that might be a great match for her. And this would be another way to do the, as mentioned earlier, the online chat, practice interviewing with your tutor, find places to look for jobs, things like that. So please remember that we are definitely there for your patrons who are job searching, anything like that. We are available to help. And finally, we have Tina, the teen librarian. This might be yourself or one or more of your staff. So we want to make sure that Tina knows about the Client Resource Center. Where can she go? If she wants to learn more, where can she go? So in that respect, I'm going to go ahead and move forward a little bit. On the third day of each month, we do send out a monthly client report, as it's called. At least one person at each library receives this client report. Most of the time, more than one will receive it. If you find that you would like to be added to this client report, please feel free to email us. I will show you the email address at the end of our session. And in addition, each library has what we call an account manager. and the account manager will have access to a client portal. And the client portal is a place where you can go and look at any kind of real-time data. And you can see here, this is a screenshot of an actual library page here inside the client portal. On-demand reports, things like that are available as an account manager. So that's a great way to, let's say you're mid-month and you want to see what your usage looks like. You can access the client portal and get a hold of that information. So if you want access to the client portal, feel free to chat with your account manager. I'd be happy, or one of our team members would be happy to add you to be able to go in and take a look at any time. Okay, and Clara asks, will tutors conduct mock interview sessions with adults? Absolutely. One of my favorite activities, Clara, is to go in and look at live sessions and see what actually happens in those. I really enjoy how the tutors engage the patron with open-ended questions about how are you going to present yourself? What kind of questions are you going to ask? It's a great way to get practice. So absolutely, that's the short answer. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and skip this because I'm going to go live, and I know to be respectful of time, we're coming up, which is our timing is looking really nicely right now. So back to school and beyond in your library, and of course this is not a complete list, just some ideas for you, but they include, first thing, please make sure that you have more than one link on your website. Whether it's teen, youth, career, any kind of opportunity like that to guide your patrons would be great, and to please ensure that they're pointing correctly. One of my responsibilities when I manage and work with my libraries is to do kind of a review with our libraries and make sure that the links are pointed correctly. Sometimes the website has been redone. Sometimes, and I've seen this happen, where tutor is completely forgotten. So I would encourage you to check those out and make sure that they are pointing correctly, along with ensuring that all of your staff members are trained. Please know that this webinar today will be recorded and the link will be available to you. But if you want, as mentioned earlier, foundational what is Tutor.com training, we would be happy to help. Another idea is to hand out program cards. All of these things that are available, these resources in the Client Resource Center, show your patrons who request help. You can put on desktop wallpaper if you have a desktop, host a boot camp for standardized testing, demo to classes, use that trifold how it works brochure. Just a couple of ways. And Clara has a question, how long can the mock interview sessions last? I would say on the average about 20 minutes. That's about what they go, how long they go. All right, and thank you for these wonderful questions. In your local schools, back to school night, perhaps a teacher in service, parent-teacher conference. I know we mentioned the PTA, PTO, classroom demos, completing a library card fair. I know of at least one library here in California that they've actually gone out and they're making sure that every high school student in this case is given a library card. In addition, we do have those bookmarks, posters, and flyers. Perhaps send them out to school libraries. Email to teachers and counselors. We do have those templates. Maybe the school has a parent portal where you can provide an announcement. Provide program cards, those printable business-sized cards that are available. Put them in grade reports. In your community, outreach to faith-based organizations. I also encourage you to connect with community resources, any organizations such as veterans, military, YMCA, any kind of festival, camps, sports programs. And again, connect with homeschool groups. And just as a reminder, in addition to our back to school that you've attended today, we do offer, or we will be offering 3 more. Maybe you've signed up for 1 or more additional webinar. They include how to actually reach out to schools. And yes, we've covered just a minimum today. How to outreach, or how do you work with your adult patron. So these descriptions are included on the client resource site, along with the SAT, ACT. We will dig down into what is all available within the Princeton Review for SAT and ACT. All right, and before I go to next steps, I want to show you the Client Care Center live. This is what it looks like. This is not password protected or anything like that. It's Tutor.com/clientcarelib. This is the home page here where you can sign up for our additional webinars. I know we're just about at the hour now, but the items to hand out, I would encourage you to go through here. We've got our bookmarks. We've got our 10 to a sheet business size program cards. Here's that trifold that we saw. See how it works as well. And here are the top 10 things for parents, for teachers, and the safe and secure assurance that we saw earlier. Another area that everything is wonderful here, but also the social media. Here's the video that I spoke about, the shorter intro, the longer, almost 4-minute, there's a YouTube link, or you can actually download it. And then you can jump to whatever topics or category you'd like to go to. As far as hangups, we've got the posters and flyers here that are sometimes in general for homework or categorized for science, testing, writing, math. Okay, lots of other, we've got the template area, but hopefully you can get in here and take a look when you have a chance. Okay, finally, next steps. I do encourage you again to log into your platform and explore those tools. Please do check out the Client Resource Center. We are constantly updating that. Share what you've learned with others in your library. We'd love for you to share out what you've learned with us today. And set a goal for usage. How much do you want to increase in a month, 3 months, anything, even 6 months to a year? Please share your goal with us. And we do check in with you on a quarterly basis, but at any time, we are here to help you. For questions, yes, I am Robin. Rochelle will be facilitating a few more webinars next week, and Marcus, he's part of our team as well. Feel free to email us at clientsupport@tutor.com. Here is the URL for the Client Care, or the Client Resource Center, which is Client Care Lib. And I want to thank you for joining me today. I'm going to wait here for another few minutes for any questions that you may have. I really appreciate your valuable time, and we hope to see you at another webinar in the next couple of months. Thank you, everyone. And don't be shy about questions, please. Okay. Thank you, everyone, again for joining me today, and send us an email if you have any questions at all. Take care.